She's moving in. I can't wait to put her lips on my lips again. That song that was playing, don't even know what it was. Maybe George Strait, could have been Freebird. Girl, the way you move, you got me hooked. Can't get you out of my head. Yeah, I guess you're stuck, but we feel like hanging around, 'cause I don't want you to leave. Stay a while and have a drink with me. Whoa, whoa.
Welcome to Whiskey Pines National, episode 4. You got Drew Spooler here with Brandon Haney. Brian is surprisingly still out on sabbatical, but we have made the executive decision that he is going to go out on assignment and do some research for us, and then we'll bring him back when we think the time is ready.
He's on timeout.
A small timeout. I think it also has to do with a little bit of work, but we do think that there's going to be some really cool things that he's going to be able to do for us between coming on the podcast every once in a while and doing some really cool writing pieces for the website once I figure out how to be able to post efficiently and not just always on the main page of the website. I think will be a huge step up here. So it's episode 4. We have a great interview later in this episode with Deven Trueblood. He's what I call my PGA Professional. We worked together when we were all in French Lick. He helped try and fix what I would call his swing, and then it didn't work, but he did try to help. And then we also have a Super Bowl recap and a little whiskey review. And at some point, Brandon's going to drop into a conspiracy theory on us. We've already talked about it, which is not usual because usually he just drops it on me beforehand, but I read the notes before the podcast, so I actually know what this theory is. So I'm going to have some pretty good questions for you when it comes up, but we're excited. Another week. I was traveling all week. Surprisingly, Brandon traveled down to where I live, and I wasn't here for most of his trip because I was gone. And then for the 24 hours that we were in the same town, we sat in the same meeting for 3 hours and then didn't see each other the rest of the time.
Busy times.
So apologies for the late drop. Brandon had to fly back to Wisconsin, and we didn't get a chance to connect yesterday, but we did get the interview done last night, and this will be a Saturday morning drop. So instead of Friday night picks, we're going to have Saturday picks. So start us out, week 3 recap. Brandon, it looks like you won again on your bets, so you're now 3-0.
Undefeated, making the people the money.
I lost again, so currently 1-2. You're 3-0, and
You're due for a win this week.
Yeah, I don't think so. After watching what's happening tonight in college basketball, I think I'm going to go 0 for 5 in college basketball tonight. I don't think I'm on what you would call a hot streak, so whatever cold streak you were on, you just passed me.
Yeah, I'm on a bit of a heater right now.
You wanna share some of that, or are you gonna keep it to yourself?
You could have got in this Bucks game with me.
I got Bucks first half.
And Bucks second half.
Of course. For the whiskey review this week, we're actually going back with my staple. It's what actually my dad gets me every year for Christmas. And so whenever I'm opening up my presents at his house, I see the cylinder that's under the tree and I know exactly what it is. So it's Oban. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, but it's Scotch whiskey. It's my favorite whiskey, Scotch whiskey. And it's going to be one of those where even though I've drank it a lot, I've never really given it a score. And so I'm going to go with, what was it, an Albatross? Be second best? Yeah. Hole in One's number 1, Albatross is number 2. So
pretty sad we can't even remember our own ranking system.
Well, when you make it up, it's kind of difficult to get there. So I'm going to go with an Albatross for the Oban Scotch whiskey. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but it's delicious. And the good news for me is I just get it once a year when it's my Christmas present. I don't actually buy it myself.
Speaking of gifts, I get father texted me a photo of a Siesta Key spiced rum he picked up for me.
Oh, what's that called?
It's just called Siesta Key spiced rum. Some info. I haven't heard of it, but I'm a rum guy, so I'm trying to branch out from my Captain Morgan and try a couple of unique bottles. So once I get it, we'll do a special rum tasting.
Special rum review with Brandon, all bundled up in the cold in Wisconsin to try and warm himself up. Yep. I don't know if it's known, but I did see on Instagram that The Rock is coming out with, is it a tequila?
He does post about tequila.
I think he's coming out with his own tequila brand. But I'm not going to lie, we'd have to try it if that's the case.
Could do that. Big fan of The Rock.
Yeah, new tequila. He wore #tequila, #coming soon, #cheers. And surprisingly didn't give a #Whiskey Pints National, but I'm sure we can slide into his DMs enough to maybe.
We'll get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll get him on. That'll be our elusive white whale. He's our white whale that we're going after. Even though it's basically a whiskey and golf podcast, which he doesn't do either. I'm sure he'd love to come on.
I don't see why not. I'm sure he's a huge fan.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think there's so many people that are huge fans of this podcast that they're just like beating down the door to get interviews here.
We'll get him on eventually.
But speaking of my travels, did get to have an incredible 30-minute conversation with Eric Anders Lang. So if anybody here has watched Adventures in Golf, he helped host the Waste Management last week. And one of his really cool things that he was doing was interviewing people in the portalet outside the famous stadium hole on 16. So he had the CEO of Waste Management. He had Justin Verlander and a couple other athletes in there. So he does a lot of really cool segments in golf. And one of the fun parts about our conversation was we're just talking about the evolution of golf, where we expect it to go, how much fun golf is when you're playing with friends and new people who become friends. And a lot of golf needs to kind of relax on the rules and the stuffiness of golf because it's giving it a bad perception because golf's a game of the people. So it was a really, really cool interview, or not interview. It was a really cool conversation. I asked him at some point if he'd like to come on the podcast. So that may be something we get down the road. He said that he would. It would be really great to get him on. His viewpoint of golf is awesome. He puts out incredible content. He's a filmmaker. He's a documentarian. And if you get a chance, go watch Adventures in Golf. It's one of my favorite segments on YouTube, and it's definitely a rabbit hole. Once you start going down, you'll finish out the series. And I think they're on season 3 or 4 now. But he also has a podcast, the Eric Lang Show, if you need some extra podcasts to listen to after you listen to this one.
You say he makes documentaries?
Yes, he does.
We need to do a Whiskey Pines documentary.
We'll get that at some point. I think right now that'd be like a 30-second infomercial. We need to wait a couple years before it actually becomes a real.
Well, since people are so fond of the conspiracies, we can go on a little conspiracy hunt.
As soon as you said
we can find Bigfoot.
As soon as you said that, all I was actually now thinking at this point was somebody strapped with a GoPro following you through the woods in Wisconsin, and you're like, I think I hear him.
That's pretty.
And that's all I could think of the second you're like, is he a documentarian?
That's film gold.
I mean, it's not like they have like 3 or 4 different shows on TV right now where people are just trying to find Bigfoot.
But it's like Bigfoot finding Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah. What I'll do is I'll shoot him a message, pitch him that idea, and see how far that goes.
He'll be here tomorrow.
He may. So we talked about trying to get together. Next time I'm in LA, I'm going to try and connect with him, try and play some golf, try and get him on our podcast, try and go on his, and see if we can come up with some cool collaborative stuff to do together. A couple of the digital series ideas that I've had, I mentioned to him, and he was like, yes, let's absolutely do those. So there's some ideas out there, maybe some collaboration in the future. Highly doubt he's listened to this one, but he loved the name. And as soon as I said Whiskey Pints National, he's like, that sounds fucking awesome. So
yeah, we'll get him on the pod.
Not that that's going to actually go anywhere, but it was cool that he actually said it. That was the highlight of my week.
Start. Better than the highlight of my week.
Well, you were traveling most of it, and then you were in meetings the rest of it.
I was on the same plane twice today. Connecting flight, same seat, 25A.
So aisle seat.
No, window seat.
No, window. You were in the window.
Exit row, no seat in front of me.
Well, you got to feel good about that, though.
But how many times? I mean, what are the odds? Leave West Palm, connection in Detroit, Detroit to Milwaukee, and you're on the same plane.
Very little, but I mean, yeah, pretty little.
Has it ever
never really
happened to you?
had that happen. It has a couple times. I've almost gotten off the plane each time.
I did. We had to get off the plane.
Where like I've gotten up and been like, I really hope I can make my connector and like walk out and look up the gate and realize that it's my gate. And I'm like, oh. Then I just go.
I don't know. I was like, can I just leave my stuff here?
What did they say?
I didn't ask. I just got up.
You would be somebody that would ask though. Like if there was a flight attendant anywhere near, you'd be like, can I just leave my stuff here?
Yeah.
I'm coming back on. I promise.
It's quite comfortable.
So how long was your layover in Detroit?
10 minutes, just enough to deplane, clean it, and get back on.
It's not bad.
No, it was quick. The flight from Detroit's a half hour.
So I was down. So Brandon came down to West Palm, and the whole time I was out at Ocean Reef Club, which is down in Key Largo, for our partner summit, and got
Never
to play
been
golf.
to the Keys, by the way.
You should go to the Keys.
It's been on my bucket list.
So it's like 2 hours from here to get to Key Largo. To get all the way to Key West, it's like 3. But to get to Key Largo, it's like 2 hours, which don't get me wrong, I love living where we live. Down in West Palm, Jupiter area is beautiful. The beaches are awesome. The people are old, but I mean, can't really get around that. But other than that, it's a cool place to live. I mean, it's kind of expensive, but going down to Key Largo is like basically driving 2 hours to the Bahamas. Like you feel like you're in a completely different place, and you're like, I can't believe I just drove here. And even though we live in somewhere that's very nice, going to the Keys feels like you've somehow transformed into the Bahama Islands.
I need to make that drive.
And the culture's awesome.
Speaking of old people in that area, they have come up with the best con system we have noticed in the airports. When flying into West Palm,
they're
all in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
But when they get to West Palm,
they can walk fine.
they're spry chickens walking off the plane.
It's true.
I mean,
it's
talk
100%
about
true.
an all-time con move.
Every flight that I've ever taken, leaving West Palm and coming back to West Palm, it's a completely different attitude from the people that are over the age of 75 getting on and off the plane. Yeah, the upside is a real thing. 100%. It happens every time.
You get on the plane, it looked like your legs didn't work.
Yeah.
Now you're running off.
You were yelling for an attendant for 10 minutes to help you get on this thing. The second you get off of it, you started running a half marathon to get your bag first.
It's unbelievable. I love it.
And then they get in the car and drive 3 miles an hour.
PBI Airport is a treat. I mean,
I've told a lot of people, flying in out of West Palm Beach is a blast. Even though you have to connect everywhere, I have left the office 50 minutes until takeoff and made it to my plane in plenty of time.
oh yeah, we pushed it as late as we could today and still made it through.
The long-term parking lot is a 3-minute walk. And so I park my car, I walk to the terminal, and from parking my car to getting to my terminal with pre-check is an average of 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah,
it's a long-term parking.
Pretty awesome.
So when people are, I've had a lot of people visit, no big deal, not to brag. And by that, I mean, it's just family. It's usually my mom, but they're always like, hey, we need to get to the airport like 2 hours beforehand. I'm like, it's a little bit different here. West Palm, we can kind of push to like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And so then the first time, I think it was when my mom visited the first time, she's like, no, drop me off early. I want to make sure that I'm there in time. I dropped her off at the front, and she texted me literally like 3 minutes later. Was like, "I'm at my gate." I was like, "I told you."
There was no one in security line walking
No.
through today.
No, the worst is though when you get a large plane of elderly folks going through the scanner at the same time, and they're back in their wheelchairs, and like I can't.
One lady forgot to
That
put
takes
a
a little
bag on the conveyor belt to go through security today. She walked through, but she didn't put her bag on to go through.
She just left it.
She had to come back through, put it back on, but then she forgot. Then she grabbed her purse and then tried to walk through the scanner with a purse. And they're like, "That's not how this works, fam. You need to go back again."
My favorite story from West Palm Beach Airport was, I think it was Kristen Wilson and I were flying. I think we're going to Newark or something for the PGA Championship, and this lady was standing next to me, and her hands were full. And she turned to me and she was like, "Hey, can you help carry my bag?" And they had just gone over the announcement of like, "Hey, if it's not yours, don't touch it or grab or like see something, say something." And I turned to Chris and I pointed up to the sky and I was like, "They just told me not to." And the lady was like, "You're really not going to help me?" And I go, "Nope." I've never looked like a bigger dick, but they're going over the announcement. So like, did you pack it yourself? No, it's not my bag. Like that doesn't turn out well for me if I'm helping her go through security with an extra bag that's not mine. And the lady was so mad that I refused to help her.
You just run away.
I was like, "Nope, sorry, can't do this. I gotta go."
Stranger danger.
The funniest part about it was she was like probably like 70-ish. And like was this like little old lady, and I felt bad about it, but like the TSA agents are like staring at me like, "I dare you to pick up that bag." So I'm not doing this.
You get arrested on the spot.
Yeah, I would definitely get arrested for that. That's how I would go.
I got on a plane one time, and it was like a 2-aisle plane, and I get in there, the lady's already sitting down next to me. She's got a full face mask on and like full sleeve gloves. I'm like, great, this lady's got some disease coming over, Ebola or something.
Yeah, she's got the lotion in the sleeves of the mittens to make her hands better.
So I sit down and I'm like very like gingerly sitting down, and she's like, "Don't worry, I'm not sick. I just have a severe peanut allergy and I can't even I can't go within feet of it." So big relief, but feel bad.
Did you just turn to her and be like, "Well, I've hidden 3 peanut butter sandwiches in my pocket"?
Weird. I got peanuts and peanut butter. You want some?
You just start pulling out sandwiches, and she's like, "What's on that one?" Oh, okay. Somehow we've gone off onto an airport review. But we'll get to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl recap. The game sucked. It was terrible.
Oh God.
Even having money on the line there, I was watching this game like this.
Waiting for something to happen. We were all just waiting for it to.
Well, have you ever gone back and like watched like a middle school game, or like watch little kids in a park throw a football, and you're like, "Yeah, this is kind of cute, but they suck." That's kind of how I felt like during the Super Bowl.
I bet the second half over just because there's no way. There's no way it could have kept at that low of a pace. And it did.
I thought it would, because it was just that bad. And it wasn't even good football. So it wasn't like it was great defense. It was overthrown passes. It was runs where you're running into the left tackle instead of into the hole. Like, it was just garbage football.
Goff did not look good.
Goff looked terrible. So that goes into our bets for the Super Bowl. I had Goff MVP, Goff over 285, Rams winning the Super Bowl 31-24, all losses. All didn't even come close. And all I could think of the whole time as I was watching this, like, well, at least I had the national anthem.
I had a little better day. I hit first half under, Patriots first half minus half a point, and the over on the national anthem, which we'll get into our prop bets. But I also had a Rams money line in the second half over. that ruined the day for me.
It, excuse me, it wasn't good at all. And so we watched it down in the Keys because we had to get down there earlier and get everything set up. And so there's a group of us watching the game. And I'd kind of told them my prop bets to try and make the game a little bit more enjoyable and be like, hey, I bet that there's going to be more than 7.5 songs here at halftime. So like to get people engaged in like what was happening. And one of the people that were watching the game with us wasn't a football fan. Didn't know who was in the game going into it. Doesn't know anything about football. I'm like, the Super Bowl is the way to go. Like that will get you into it. You're going to be excited. Oh. And I was like, the commercials are just going to like up your entire experience. We get half a quarter into that thing, and all I could think of is she's never watching football ever again. It was so bad that I'm pretty sure half the room was not only scrolling Instagram, but was like looking at other YouTube videos. Like, there's got to be something better to watch than what we're watching.
Let's watch last year's game.
Oh, it was so bad. Obviously, the Patriots won. I mean, it's whatever. I was sad. It was just
not surprised.
And so the best part about it was as soon as the game ended, one of the other people I was watching the game with was like, I'm so glad the Pats won. I had Pats -3 plus Pats money line. And the person who doesn't watch football was like, oh, you had money on it. And he was like, yeah, so did Drew. And she was like, oh, so you both won. I go, no, not everybody wins in this scenario. So that was how I watched the Super Bowl.
Speaking of winning, we should update the people on our prop bets.
Yeah, prop bets. National Anthem was the first one. I had the over at 1:47. That line moved heavily 24 hours before the game to 1:54.
I believe I originally took the under in last week's episode.
You did.
But got a hot tip before the game that rehearsals were going over. So I flipped right before the game, shared the hot tip.
The hot tip was very appreciated that you said. I had already
on
basically maxed bet the National Anthem.
It flipped it for me. So the record will reflect a loss for me there. But it was a win.
But you did put money on the other one, so I guess we can give you a half win for that one.
What else did we have? What was
I
next?
had halftime songs of 7.5.
So we were opposite here.
Yep, you said under. I said over. It ended up being 10 songs.
Okay.
Made me happy. But we're counting them. And first off, halftime show wasn't good. Don't get me wrong. Terrible. I like Maroon 5 and Travis terrible. Scott and everybody and Big Boy. You can't. Here's my big complaint. Don't bring out half of Outkast. Like, if you're gonna go Outkast, go all Outkast.
You need Andre 3000.
Yeah.
Travis Scott was decent.
He was, but when you start your song and you're supposed to be the Atlanta guy and nobody on TV can hear the first 20 seconds of your song because it's all muted out.
Yeah, that was poor song choice.
Or even like, don't jump in at that point of the song. Like, be like, hey, let's go halfway in and get like 2 bars before we have to bleep everything. So those were my big complaints. Also, another prop bet we had there was first song. I had Girls Like You. They went with one of their old songs.
I just went with the odds there.
You did.
Give me the odds every time.
You took literally every song they've ever made compared to my one song that I picked.
Give me that every time.
It's fine with me. I still stand by it. In the last couple of years, I had looked back and everybody started out with their number one hit at the time, except for Maroon 5, who decided to go back 10 years back and play some slow jam that I listened to while I was trying to figure out how to pass college. That's my rant. Then we also had No Hat, and we both won that one because we both said he wasn't going to wear a hat. Obviously, he has decent hair and he's a good-looking dude. He's not going to wear a hat to ruin it. Good thing there was no bet on if he'd wear a shirt or not because he lost that halfway through it.
Wardrobe rules seem a little inconsistent from year to year.
They very, very much do. He had a lot of tattoos. I knew he had a bunch, but I didn't realize he had California written basically over his belly button, which just reminded me of Sons of Anarchy with the California across the back. So that's all I could think of the second he took his shirt off. And I was like, he just went reverse Sons of Anarchy.
Great show.
His belly button. Oh, it's a fantastic show.
It's an all-time show.
I think that's my top 2.
Top 2.
I love Sons of Anarchy.
All right. We're going to have table that discussion next week. Mount Rushmore of shows.
Right. But like right now, give your top 2 shows of all time that you can go back and rewatch every time and still have the same excitement that you had the first time you went through it.
Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Maybe Game of Thrones.
So I'm definitely Sons of Anarchy. I think Sons of Anarchy may be number 1 for me.
I agree. Sons of Anarchy is awesome. I just don't know.
Sons of Anarchy is the only show that I've ever watched that I've gotten so mad that what happened in the show that I took a break for a year before I went back and watched the rest of it.
What spoiler alert, what happened?
Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Sons of Anarchy,
fast forward 15 seconds.
No, forget it. I'm not even going to tell you to do that. If you listen to the podcast, it doesn't really matter. It happened 10 years ago. And also the fact that there's like 3 people listening to this, I'll text those 3 people after the episode and tell them.
We're going to cut that. We're going to cut that.
No, that's fine. I'll text all 5 people that I know are listening to this and tell them that I'm going to do that there's going to be a Suns spoiler at the 25-minute mark. Maybe just like not listen to that part. Other than that, okay. So when they kill Opie in prison, I was so angry at that point that I just stopped watching the show.
Supposedly he's entering The Walking Dead next season.
Well, I mean, he kind of grew out his hair and beard. There's limited part he can do in the world.
Well, he's a good actor. Yeah, he was
very good.
To go. That was early on.
It was. I was like actually upset. I was like, I can't believe they killed Hope. Why would you do that? But listening to the creator when he came out and he was like, we've kind of killed off every other part of that character's life. We kind of figured we should get rid of him too. I was like, yeah, we kind of left him with nothing. But it would have been fun to see him come back. Like
Kurt Sutter is a genius, so I can't really argue him.
If they would have been able to let Ope come, like rise basically from nothing, represent everybody and get out of jail and like rise up to help lead the club, that also would have been a fantastic storyline. But I didn't see them actually killing him in prison. Last 10 minutes have really just been me ranting about stuff that have bothered me for the last 10 years and also the Super Bowl.
We get out of the rabbit hole. What else? What other props do we have?
We had first song. We had No Hat. And then I had Jared Goff over 285. I didn't even actually look to see what he finished with because I knew he didn't come close to it.
I just know he didn't. For the game.
I just know he didn't know. That's what it was. It was for the entire
I thought it was
game.
Second half. Sorry.
No, it was just the entire game, and I know he didn't hit it.
No.
Oh, awesome! Lost another one. Sorry, getting updates on my phone. Not going well, and
the Knicks lost again. Losing streak to 15 games. Zion lottery continues.
Yep, lost another one because the Suns decided to put up 20 points in the second quarter and only 20 points. Okay, I'm going to put my phone down because it's just going to make me mad. Next up, so I went 3-4 on my bets for the Super Bowl. You went much better. I went 3-1 in like funny prop bets though. So I feel good about that. It was just like actual football bets. I went over.
I did not.
Yeah, well.
Story of my life.
Things are going well for you right now.
Last Saturday made up for it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so you did better than I did in the Super Bowl this year. The Super Bowl sucked. It's going to be one that people forget about. In 5 years, somebody's going to be like, what happened in 2019? They'll be like, I don't know.
Blacked out. Brady
was there, I guess.
Commercials.
Oh, commercials. Yes.
About commercials.
What was your favorite commercial?
I had 2.
Okay, go for it.
The Stella Artois commercial with the dude abides.
And also them stealing the most interesting man.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That's going to hopefully turn into a campaign like the Sprint guy or Verizon guy. I really thought when Jeff Bridges tweeted the teaser a week prior that we were going to get a Big Lebowski
remake, or like that would have been nice.
Sequel, but I don't think that's happening. So I got a good laugh out of that one, and then the NFL commercial when all the greats were playing football in that dinner hall or the
My
banquet
favorite part
or whatever
about that was the first tweet I saw after that was that Todd Gurley has more rushing yards in that commercial than he does in the entire game. Yeah, there were a lot of good ones off that one. Mine was the Michael Bublé commercial for bubbly sparkling water.
Yeah, that one was decent.
And he just kept saying, it's Bublé. They're like, no, it's bubbly. And he's at the end, he's just sitting on the floor, marking up all the bubbly cans.
Forgot about that one.
That one made me laugh. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that actually like stood out. I saw an old Super Bowl commercial on TV today, though, which made me think of it. The old Doritos commercial where the guy walks into the other guy, the little kid's yard, and he has like the time machine.
Yeah.
And it's the cardboard box. And they're like, you got to put your full bag through there. And they like shake the box. And the little kid like goes back inside and it's just an old man. And he comes out of the box and he's like, you're so old.
They played that one a lot leading up. That's always a good one.
It got me every time. Like if I'm Doritos, I just play that every year. I would just rebuy those spots. We did find out, though, since you weren't there for the interview with Deven, which is coming up, our buddy Clayton Anderson actually had a commercial for the Indy 500 that aired during the Super Bowl. So the concert that Deven and I talk about in the interview was the same guy that had a commercial during the Super Bowl this year. There's an Indianapolis 500 commercial.
I'll have to go back and watch.
I'll just send it to you.
I'll rewatch.
Yeah, rewatch the entire Super Bowl, that amazing game, to get one commercial. I'll just send you the commercial.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was the Super Bowl. And then I'm anxious to kind of hear this because it just said on the notes you sent me, it said random stories. And the first thing up just said yoga.
I did yoga.
You like, was it just regular yoga? Did you do hot yoga? Did you do one of those goat yoga things?
So I meant to tell this last week. Forgot to. 2 weekends ago, I was back home visiting my girlfriend and wanted to go to. She's well. We were going to go to the gym, work out Saturday morning, and I was putting up a fight. I did not want to. I was feeling pretty lazy Saturday morning. She wanted to do CrossFit. I was not having it.
So did you let her leave and go do CrossFit as you just laid in bed?
I threw that out there. I was like, why don't you go do CrossFit? I'll stay here. That didn't fly. So we go to the gym in her apartment. She said, all right, well, let's go for a run. I'm like, I don't want to do that either. She's like, well, what about yoga? I'm like, well, if that will get me out of everything else, let's do yoga. Boy, was that a sight.
Just regular yoga.
Regular yoga. It was like one of those little screen pre-made workouts. I am not flexible whatsoever. I struggled hardcore. It was rough.
Okay, so
thank God no one else walked in the room. They were like, what the hell is going on?
Did the girlfriend say anything to you, like at any point, like, hey, buddy, are you okay? Or you can stop if you want to. Or did she just like force you to go through the entire thing? It took her a while to stop laughing. Oh, God, buddy.
Anyone who knows me can imagine what me doing yoga would look like. So we'll add that to the Whiskey Pines documentary at some point. It was a treat.
What was your most difficult move that you had to do? Now, I'll be honest. I've done yoga a couple times. I'm not that flexible, but I actually enjoyed it, surprisingly. But the thought of you standing in front of a screen doing yoga as your girlfriend's just staring at you like, that's mine. And you're just like stumbling over yourself is one of the funniest things I've ever envisioned.
My hamstrings are the least flexible muscle. And me trying to do anything of getting my leg in the air or what is
how long was
not
this
only
video?
Painful. Like 40 minutes.
You did 40 minutes of yoga.
I tried to do 40 minutes of yoga.
Have Oh, so what'd you do afterwards? Because clearly you were going to need to like stretch or roll out or something because you were probably in pain.
It was not good. It took me a little while to recover from that one.
Have you ever gotten a massage?
Years ago.
I got one when I was in Vegas a couple months ago. First one I ever had. It was a couples massage. Again, things that have worked out well in my life. And it basically just whatever massage that she put in there for us, it basically just turned into this guy trying to like break my back. And I'm every bit of like 245. And I'm pretty sure that that massage table just wanted to give out the entire time. And you could hear it. Like the whole thing I was thinking, like I'm laughing as I'm getting this massage as like Inya's playing with like candles and shit. And I'm laughing because all I can think of is I have this man just like jumping on my back and this table's going to give. And it didn't, but we got done and she was like, you hated that, didn't you? And I was like, well, I didn't feel great about it. So another wonderful experience in my life.
Hey, it creates good stories. We'll take that anytime.
Yeah, I've said the whole time,
Content.
like speaking of documentaries, like if there's ever one about my life, the title is just going to be, well, that didn't work.
We could go get dual massages.
That would be good content. Just you and I trying to endure a massage
Talk
next to
about
each
a
other.
massage table screaming for help. Put me on top of it.
You know what? We should do that. I think that would be one of those where the people are like, this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Another random story. And going down another rabbit hole here. I once had back surgery.
I knew that.
And for some reason unknown to me, they wheel me into the operating room on the bed thing. They knock me out on that instead of putting me on the operating table. So I wake up, later hear the nurse say they made a huge mistake because they had to call in 6 nurses to lift me up and flip me from the chair, like the rollaway bed, to the operating table because there's 310 pounds of dead weight.
Have you ever seen My 600-Pound Life? They have to do that to those people all the time. And all I can think of is you just like passed out cold laying there like, move me.
Good luck.
Oh.
No, she's like, we called in 6 additional nurses to move you. And you have two people on each leg.
Oh, that makes me so happy. And they probably had to flip you over because you're probably on your back.
I was on my back. They had to get me onto another table and flip me over.
Oh, that person got fired. Oh, all right. So the next thing on here, you have just Bison.
So, coworker of mine. I don't even know how we got to the conversation of Bison being an awesome meat to eat.
Yeah, I had some last week.
And a coworker says she's got a family who owns a buffalo farm, and they sell bison meat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, jackpot. I text 2 of my buddies. I get the order form. I'm like, got a bison hookup. What do you guys want? We place an order.
I got a Bison hookup.
Order shows up next week. She brings it in, puts it on my desk. If someone unknown to what's going on walked in, they'd be like, why is there half a buffalo in your office? We ordered so much buffalo. My freezer is full. Yeah, we literally ordered.
How much did you order? Literally half a buffalo.
There's 11 pounds of ground bison in my freezer right now, not including the pastrami, the steaks, the summer sausage. And there's over 25 pounds of meat in that freezer. We took down.
Did you at least get a discount?
Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just got excited. Pulled the
You
trigger.
were so excited that you had a buffalo hookup. You bought the entire thing.
And my text to my friends were, we just took down half a buffalo.
Her family's probably now set for the rest of their lives because you just bought an entire fucking buffalo.
They were so happy. They were like, who is ordering all of this?
They hand deliver it to you because you're their biggest customer and you made one order. They're going to send you a Christmas card and be like, thank you for all the presents you bought our kids because you bought so much
sent
buffalo.
Our kids to college.
Oh, that's a great story. Oh, that makes me happy. Well, as everyone tries to contemplate how much buffalo meat you actually end up eating, give a little backstory. So today's interview is with Deven Trueblood, used to be the head PGA professional at French Lick's Pete Dye course in French Lick, Indiana. Brandon and I worked on the senior PGA staff there in 2015. Became really good friends with Brandon or with Deven. The photo that I posted on Instagram yesterday was Brandon riding a mechanical horse outside a gas station, heading somewhere for Deven's birthday. We have a lot of great stories. We don't hit on all of them. Deven will be a recurring guest for sure. But it's a great interview. We're happy to talk about it. And I'm sure Brandon has plenty of good French Lick stories. The one that I'll always leave people with is I've been lucky enough to live all over the country in different areas, some really nice, some not so nice. And the only 2 times I've ever had anything ever stolen from me, one was in Indianapolis while I was living in French Lick. And then the other was somebody stole the hubcaps off my Avalanche. All 4 tires stole the hubcaps right off. I looked it up on eBay. Those things sell for like $2.25 a piece. I wish they would just knocked on my door and been like, can I have $10? And I would be like, yeah, absolutely. Here you go. Just don't take my hubcaps. So those are my 2 French Lick stories. Then we never won at the casino there. The casino was rigged.
The casino was cursed.
We could never win there.
That was cursed.
Brandon, what was your favorite Deven or French Lick story before we headed into this interview?
French Lick, too many to count there.
Was it the fact that Brian lived above the Denny's?
And the Wacky Wings.
The Wacky Wings and Denny's?
We had a good crew there. And you sent a photo of the toaster from a little inside joke from our staff there. The Warburton brothers.
Oh.
Love those 2. No, Deven's great. I look forward to hearing from him.
That Warburton kid ate all of our gushers during the championship. All right, here's the interview with Deven Trueblood. Welcome, everybody. We got Deven Trueblood. I always say my PGA professional because he was the one that helped with my swing the most. Had a couple other PGA professionals who helped a lot, but Deven was my guy. We got to work closely together when I was in French Lick for the 2015 KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship, when he was the head pro at the Pete Dye course, which at the time was the top 100 course. Is it still? Do you know?
Don't believe this year. I don't think it's still in the top 100. But
they added a bunch of new courses this year. I saw Stream Song Black got put on, and a couple other like random brand new courses jumped a lot of staples that have been there the last couple of years.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, there's so many good golf courses out there right now. It's just, I mean, it's all political now to get on that list.
I was actually thinking about that. Obviously, you know golf better than most, especially being a PGA professional, but watching some of those lists, I think the staples are always going to be on there. The Seminoles, the Pine Valleys, the courses that have like the mystique of what they are. What's the best course you've ever played?
That's a really good question.
I know we're both kind of partial to like something like a Valhalla, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's an incredible course.
Man, I played a tournament at Kiawah Island one time, and the ocean course is pretty phenomenal.
What'd you shoot?
I think you already know that story, but things were going well until I got to about the 14th hole, and I think I took like a 12, 13 there.
I know the story, but everybody listening doesn't know the story, so you might as well tell them.
Yeah, things were going really well in that tournament, and then man, that wind picks up, and I couldn't keep it in the golf course. So it was the largest number I think I've ever taken on a hole, but so just kind of put the tail between the legs and finished the round, and but still, that's how good the golf course was.
That you still have a positive view of what the course is, despite putting up the largest number you've ever had on a hole.
100%.
That's impressive.
That is. That's how good I thought Kiawah was. It's in really good shape. I'm trying to think. I've never played Augusta, but I've been there, and that's pretty sweet.
Did I tell you I got to go this year? I know I've talked about it on the podcast once or twice already.
That you were discussing that, and that's pretty cool.
It is, but I'm also pretty sure like I'm going to screw something up to where they're like, hey, you're actually not allowed on here. We have your face at the front gate.
You blasted a ball and you're over on our fairway when you were playing Augusta Country Club, and we have pictures of you. You're not allowed in.
Did I ever tell you what logo was on that ball?
French Lick.
It was the Senior PGA Championship one at French Lick, so it had both the Senior logo and French Lick logo on there.
Perfect.
Oh, but yeah, Devin and I've been friends for 3 or 4 years. 4 years now. I also don't know what year it is, so that helps. Both grew up in Southern Indiana.
2015 so far away, though, you know?
Actually, it was 2014 because we did the golf shows together.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We took the Senior PGA Trophy to that hockey game, and they all thought it was the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah, that's right. When what cup was that? It was like the Vern Trophy or something like that. They thought it was some minor league hockey trophy, and they stopped us the whole time and kept getting pictures with us because they thought that we'd won this massive trophy.
It was just easier to say yes.
Oh, that was great. That was one of a number of trips that we've either ended up together on accident or just showed up at the same place. We're like, yeah, we're not going to actually do what we were supposed to. But growing up in Southern Indiana, how'd you get into golf? What kind of led you that way? Was it family? Did you have a really good PGA Professional? Did you just dominate all the other sports and you're like, I'm going to try something harder?
My dad played golf and tennis in college. And, when I was growing up, I always saw him. He kind of dabbled around and playing in some tournaments and so forth. And so I always thought it was cool to see. He had this staff bag with his name on it. And I was like, that's really cool. And he cut down a putter and a 3-iron for me, and I used to go out in the yard and kind of whack balls around and follow him and just kind of try to swing like him. And so that's how I really got started in the game. And then just had some friends in school that basically they were playing golf, and I thought that was really cool because there was articles in the local paper about them. And I'm like, I want an article written about me. And so that was literally my first goal, was to play golf well enough to get an article written about me. And then when that came true, I was like, I got to stick with this. This would be cool.
What was the course?
First course I grew up on, Western Hills Country Club. Don't even have country club is used very, very lightly. You don't really have to be a member to play there. But it's right behind the Salem Speedway in Salem, Indiana, a little 9-hole track. But it was like a really cheap babysitter for my family, and they would drop me off, and I would literally walk and carry my bag all day long. And I can remember mom or dad giving me money to get like a cheeseburger and fries, in between my 18s that I played. And that's where I learned how to play the game. It was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing stories like that. I know when I was growing up and when we were in Bloomington, my parents would take us over to Bloomington Country Club. I'm pretty sure my mom would just go to the pool and drink the rest of the time and hang out and talk to all the other moms. And then like we'd show up like 5 hours later and she'd be like, okay, Everybody ready to go home? Didn't care didn't care how we played. Didn't care like if we're even playing golf. It was more like just like leave us alone for a couple hours. And that's basically how like I really started playing a lot. But it was more one of those where it's like you said, I think it was just a cheaper babysitter than me running off all the other ones we had growing up.
Exactly. And then there ended up being, I can remember there was a good core group of kids my age that, that I would end up later playing against in like middle school and high school. But man, we would walk and we'd have some pretty good battles. I mean, we weren't playing for money like we do now, betting against our friends, but we'd play for like who was going to buy lunch or whatever. And now that was pretty cool.
So some people, anybody that knows you knows that music is also a big passion of yours.
Oh, absolutely.
Which one do you think you're more passionate about, golf or music?
Man, you know what? All through my life, it's actually fluctuated between like golf is it. I'm going to focus on golf, and then or the business side of golf, and then it was, you know what? I think I want to do the business side of music because I don't know that I'm talented enough to do, the actual playing, singing, being an artist, but it's really close, to be honest. I probably, it's one of my biggest struggles daily is which I have more passion for. Probably right now, I would say music. But as far as the golf side, I enjoy now that I'm not technically in the business anymore. I enjoy playing golf a lot more than what I did over the past few years.
Speaking of that, what exactly are you doing now?
Went the real estate route, so not like conventional real estate, but I have 30 Airbnb units right now that are rocking and rolling in Indianapolis, and also work for a management company that does pretty well. There's an office in Indy, Dallas, Kansas City, and Charlotte. So yeah, things are well. It's a different change of pace, but now, like I said, I play more golf now than I did when I was actually working at a golf course and playing with investors and playing with employees and so forth. So yeah.
So basically, you're saying for now on, when I come into town, I need to stop sleeping on my friends' couches and just use one of your Airbnbs.
That's fine. Or you can stay with me really long.
That works too.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think you and I have been to many concerts together. We've been to a couple of really late night ones. The Clayton Anderson one in Chicago was probably the latest one we went to.
If I remember correctly, there was like a blizzard or something, right?
Yeah, there was a blizzard. Nobody was downtown. We were downtown Chicago, and we ended up going to the Clayton Anderson concert at Joe's on Weed Street.
Yeah.
And then they told us to go to the after party at, was it like American Junction or something like that?
American Junkie. It's no longer there.
American Junkie, which is no longer there. But they said you got to go to the side of the building and knock like twice. And like this door will pop open and follow it upstairs. And you and I are both like, oh, hell yeah. It's like a secret entrance. Like, let's do this.
Well,
and we get there.
I don't know the backstory on that now. It all kind of makes sense, which it didn't then. But American Junkie was owned by Brad Parker, which that was the passcode to get in the upstairs. Remember?
That's right. They're like, when you get there, say the name Brad Parker.
They're like, and we're like, oh, aren't we special? But we went up there and then we felt pretty special. I will say that.
So yeah, we go up, and apparently we'd given the owner's name to the bouncer, and he was like, "Oh yeah, come on up." And so we're in like the VIP area of this club, which is clearly not around anymore because they let idiots like us up top in the VIP section.
Exactly.
But it was a crazy night, and we ended up going back real late.
Because we were staying over near Rosemont or something.
Yeah, because we had the Chicago Golf Show.
Which is, mileage-wise, isn't far from where we were at, being at Joe's Bar, but traffic-wise and blizzard-wise, it felt like I was driving to Florida from Indiana.
Do you know the one thing I remember from that night more than anything was the fact that we had a parking spot literally dead outside the club?
Well, that's because you parked on a snowbank.
Well, it was open because nobody else could park there.
True.
I threw the avalanche up on the snowbank. You're like, let's just leave it. I hope it's here when we get back.
It was perfect. It was a good spot.
Oh, that always makes it happy. But you're living in Indy now, in a really cool house, and have an incredible wife who I would say is one of my favorite people I've ever met. What's the story of how you guys met?
She, before I get started into that, I will say that she asked about you all the time, because I think the last time she would have seen you, well, you came by the house that one time, but Vegas would have been the other time that we really hung out together, though.
You mean when we randomly ran into each other in Vegas?
Exactly. Yeah. Because Vegas is such a small place, but yeah, how I met Tara. First of all, you are correct. She is awesome. But Clayton Anderson actually introduced us, who that's one of my really good buddies that sings country music. And we both happened to be at one of his shows one time. And then afterward, he invited me out to have a few drinks after the show. And Tara was there. And, yeah, we kind of hit it off ever since. So
you're telling me that I need to keep going to Clayton Anderson concerts, because we had an incredible night in Chicago, and then the other one you went to, you met your now wife.
A lot of pretty show for those shows, man.
I mean, they're always good shows, but you don't see those type of results anywhere else.
That's right. He's like a matchmaker without knowing it, right?
So we kind of touched on a little bit, but the Vegas trip.
Yeah.
So the origins behind this, I had to go out to Vegas for work, and it's the power of the internet and the power of Instagram. I was getting off the flight in Vegas, and Devin had posted something about, I think you're at the Wynn Hotel, and you were like, "Good night out tonight at the Wynn." And I texted him, I was like, "Are you really in Vegas?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I was like, "Good, I just landed."
That was exactly right. Actually, I had a buddy named Sean Latham who's absolutely killing it with Barstool right now.
Yes.
New York. So if he happens to listen, I know he commented on your post earlier. But if he's
$20 chef.
Yeah, if he's having to listen right now, shout out to him. He's doing some good things. He's got his own show on Sirius XM. But yeah, he had a show out there, and I just finished dinner with him, and you saw that picture, and I was like, holy shit, let's go.
Do you remember who we ran into later that night?
Yeah. Do you want me to sing the song or no?
Yes, I do. I've told that story so many times, and it makes me so happy.
Actually, I just finished telling that the other day. Someone brought up something about Vegas, and man, that is my absolute all-time favorite Vegas story. I think that night we saw Kevin of the Backstreet Boys. We were with a friend, not really a mutual friend, but a friend of a friend, and he was with us, and he had indulged in some beverages, a lot of beverages, and anyway, we were just kind of hanging up, actually getting ready to call it a night, and Kevin with the Backstreet Boys walks by. He turns around and goes, "Is that who I?" And we're like, "Yes, just let him live his life." We're going on doing our thing. Kevin's with this huge entourage of people, and yeah, as he passes by, he just swings in their entourage, and he's like, "Hey man, I really love your music." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool, man." Next thing we know, he has Kevin in a headlock, and he's singing "Tell Me Why," like in the top of his lungs in his ear, and yeah, the rest is history.
At the Wynn Hotel bar.
I had some friends with me that don't really get embarrassed by too much, and they were absolutely embarrassed at that moment. So
I was crying. I was laughing so hard because, one, I think you and I both, when we first saw him, you and I both were like, okay, this guy looks familiar. And I think you and I kind of talked for a second, like, okay, he's famous somehow. We just don't really know how. And then I was like, you said something like, I think he may be one of the Backstreet Boys. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then your buddy just turned around and just was like yelling. I'm like, all right, now it's going to be a party. And the best part was the Backstreet Boy, Kevin, was like, he didn't care. Like, he thought it was really cool. Yeah. I guarantee if it was like one of the more popular Backstreet Boys, he would have been like, yeah, this sucks. but it was the fact that it was like the lesser. He was like, "Oh, this is awesome. People notice me."
Ready for Backstreet Boys.
I mean, the fact that you and I didn't even know his name until like Googling him,
Yeah, but
I would say he's last.
I mean, I guess Nick would be the. Is it Nick? Yeah, Nick. Would be the singer, right?
Yeah, he'd be the top because he's probably the only one right now that anybody would actually recognize or like new name.
AJ, I think you would know AJ by all the tats, but other than that, and then Kevin now.
Lance, or was that NSYNC?
That was NSYNC.
Same band.
Same thing.
I don't know. Timberlake was in one of them.
Yeah.
Easily one of my favorite stories was the Vegas trip.
That was last night in Vegas too, but that was my 8th night in Vegas. I was ready to get the hell out of there, man. I'm like a 2-3 day guy in Vegas, and on my 8th night, I was literally just trying to remember my name.
Oh, that makes me so happy because I think I was on night 2.
Yeah,
was that night, and all I could think of was like I think Devin's like running down, and then I had to drive to Phoenix the next day, and I was like, this is gonna be a long day.
Yeah, it's Vegas is always fun though, man.
It's a blast
out there.
Brandon and I were talking about it. So, if anybody doesn't know, Devin and Brandon also know each other because we all worked in French Lick together with BK as well. And Brandon and I were talking about it. We need to do a Whiskey Pines national trip. And we're either going to do one of two things. We're going to go to the Waste Management and then go to Vegas for 2 days, or go to opening weekend of the NCAA tournament in Vegas, just rent a house and basically tell everybody, come on out if you want, and we'll go play golf a couple of days. And
can I be invited to this trip since I've been on more episodes than BK?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can. Perfect. My question to you was, which one should we do though? Do we do opening weekend, or do we do the Waste Management for like Thursday, Friday, and then Vegas Saturday, Sunday? Or go opening weekend of the NCAA tournament?
I've actually never done the opening weekend NCAA tournament out there, but I've heard it's really cool. But it's also the Waste Management's a party though.
I know. That's kind of what I was saying. So,
man,
if you do the opening weekend, then I think we get a couple rounds of golf in somewhere in Vegas while also watching all the games.
There's a lot of good courses out in Vegas.
I know. I want to go play Reflection Bay, the one out by Lake Las Vegas.
Yeah,
that looks awesome.
Yeah, Summerlin's pretty cool.
Yeah,
as long as they have the
is that where they have the Shriners there?
Yeah, as long as they still have the grandstands up. I don't know how like how many of those they take down or that they keep up, but last time I played there, it was pretty cool. So,
I mean, there's a couple other out there that we could play, but I don't think any of us can get on there.
Yeah, I've struck out many times trying to get on Shadow Creek, but
that'd be very nice.
Yeah,
I'll keep pulling those strings at some point. See if that ever unravels.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm definitely in. I don't know about those $500 greens fees, but
yeah, like if we could get rid of those, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think in most cases it's a comp anyway, so we can.
Yeah, because they usually just take somebody from the casino who's bet a boatload of money.
Just a host that sets it up usually.
Yeah, and surprisingly, that's not us.
You know what? I was actually kind of reflecting. We're gonna backtrack here a little bit, but I just thought of probably my top favorite golf course now that I've sort of been thinking about it in the back of my mind. Sage Valley. I had a really cool experience there.
Okay.
It's not too far from Augusta, but yeah, Sage, if you ever get a chance to play there. And actually, I landed.
They have a tournament there.
The junior tournament.
Tournament there now.
Yeah, which usually airs on the Golf Channel, I believe.
Yep.
But yeah, I landed one of my former assistants there, which
one was that?
Which is pretty cool. His name was Tyler. But yeah, he got to go down there and play. I think he's at Sea Island right now.
It's not too bad.
Yeah. But, yeah, Sage was awesome. Just from the time you roll up to the starter or to the guard shack out at the gate to when you arrive at the clubhouse all the way to 18. It's hands down, it's a really cool experience.
That's awesome. I'm trying to think of some of the other stories I've talked about. I mean, we went up to the Bloomington story. We went to the Indiana game up there. Was pretty cool. Was that your birthday?
Actually, what's funny is they were playing Iowa, and they're playing Iowa tonight too.
Oh, are you watching that right now?
No, I don't know what time it is, but it
starts at 9.
It's off, yeah.
Yeah,
but it was my birthday, yes.
I was gonna say I haven't watched many Indiana games this year, so I don't think I'm missing too much.
Yeah. Well, picked up that Michigan State win.
That's always helpful. That's for sure.
What was your thought? Right. What was your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean,
your bets, you or Brandon's bets didn't go too well, if I listened correctly.
You didn't, or you're right, they didn't. So I got the national anthem right, even though there was some controversy there.
Yeah, a little bit of turmoil over how that went because the second Brave kind of threw things off.
So I put it in early enough that I had it like at 1:47, and it ended at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. But the first Brave ended at like a 1:55, so I won no matter what. The funny part about it was I knew a lot of people who had their bets switched after they thought they won, and the books went back and they ended up losing because they dropped it back to like the 1:55 mark. So that wasn't good. Obviously, my Rams bet didn't work out.
It was a really good anthem, though. I thought she did well. I mean,
she did. I knew how good of an anthem is going to be, and I knew that she was going to kind of take her time and soak it in. So that's why I took the over.
I just didn't. Yeah, I definitely had the over on that as well, but I just didn't see the second Brave.
No, I didn't see that coming. But Rams didn't do well. I had the Rams. I had Jared Goff playing well. That didn't happen. I would have much preferred if it was one of those games where even if it was like 13-3, there was like turnovers or like 4 first downs and like a missed field goal or a turnover. The fact that a majority of the game was like 3 and out or 6 and out, and they only had one red zone play the entire game, I was just like, this sucks. This game is boring.
When you have a boring game with subpar commercials, it makes it night.
Brandon had asked me the other day what my favorite commercial was for him from the Super Bowl. I couldn't remember any of them because none of them really stood out of stuff that I was like, yeah, I can't wait to buy that product.
I think my first one, which I would never buy the product, but my first, my commercial that probably stands out the most was like the first commercial of the night. I think it was a Hyundai commercial, but it had, I can't think of his name, maybe Bateman or whatever. He's riding the elevator up, and it's like a different floor is going on, blah, blah, blah. They get to the bottom, and it is like a Hyundai, I think.
No, it was it was an insurance commercial.
I thought that was like a Hyundai commercial or something.
I thought it was an insurance commercial where then he took him to the top floor.
I could be wrong, but the one that was on the elevator. But that was literally before. That was after like the coin toss or something.
That was good. I was trying to think of some of the other good ones. Pepsi had some good ones. And then, oh my goodness, I couldn't. Oh, the one that the Stella commercial where they had the most interesting man in the world on there. I was like, oh, that's awesome. You just stole him after a year of losing his job at Dos Equis.
That was pretty good. I always look forward to like Doritos commercials, but
they didn't do much.
There wasn't much going on there.
Yeah, that was kind of upsetting.
Going back, my buddy Clayton did have a nice little Super Bowl commercial there. I don't know if you saw that for the commercial for Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 500.
So that would have been a local commercial, right? Or was it national?
Honestly, I don't know. He was out in LA and he was able to see it at the party. So I don't know.
Probably national then.
But I do know I watched it locally here. But
I gotta look that up. I didn't know he did a commercial.
I'll send it to you. It was pretty cool. He did the voiceover, and it's one of his new songs coming out was like the background music to it.
What's the new song?
I'm not 100% sure whether I'm ready or if I'm allowed to say it or not. So I can't yet.
All right. We'll wait for that one to come out, but everyone download the new Clayton Anderson whenever it comes out.
But it's good.
All right. What do you got coming up next? Are you coming down to Florida anytime soon?
What's next? I don't know if Florida's in the plans. I always go down to Tortuga Music Fest. I think I randomly ran into you down
We've
there.
also run into each other there multiple times.
But I'm not going this year, which is a really good lineup, but it just didn't work into my schedule.
That's when I was dating Sarah, and you got to meet her.
I did. Yeah. Seemed like a nice lady.
Yeah, that worked out well.
Yeah.
Just chalk that up in another one for me.
But yeah, Tortuga's always fun, but yeah, not doing it this year.
Now that I think about it, there's nobody else I've run into randomly more than I've ever at different places than I have you.
I try to be everywhere all the time, but I fail at it, But honestly, I don't think I have anything currently on the books that's not work related as far as traveling. But
we'll have to come up with something. But appreciate you coming on. Obviously, we've talked about this for a while, and I started talking to you about Whiskey Pines. Shit, was that a year and a half ago? Something like that?
I think you me and you said, I have an idea. And I was like, let's hear it. And I think we were on the phone for like an hour talking. And it was probably 3-4 months later, I had a T-shirt show up in the mail that said Whiskey Pines National on it with the tree down the back.
What was your first feeling when you got a text from me that just says, I have an idea? With no other context.
I had no idea where it was going, to be honest. I was like, oh boy. But hopped on that call, and I knew it couldn't be a bad thing.
That's true. I've told everybody, usually when I come up with ideas, they're either going to be so outlandish that it's just going to be a fun story to tell. Like, I can't believe he came up with this idea. Right. Or it's actually like a decent idea. So yeah. It's one of the two.
Yeah, I like everything about what you have going on with Whiskey Pines National, and I know you're just starting out, but I think you're heading in the right direction.
Well, appreciate it.
Couldn't think of a better guy to have at the helm.
Don't worry, everybody. I paid him to say that. No, obviously, I think having you as the first guest was by design. Excited. You've been with me from the beginning of this idea. You're the first person I kind of ran the idea behind, because I knew that with your golf background, your history and business, you would at least take the idea and listen to it. And you'd also tell me if it was stupid and be like, hey, that's probably not waste your time and money on this one. But having you on first was absolutely by design. So happy you were able to join us. Obviously, we need to get together soon. It's too cold up there, else I'd say I'd come visit you. So we may have to find a warmer climate to come to.
You mean you don't like negative, like 50-degree wind chill?
No, absolutely not. I mean,
well,
I usually try to stop in every time I'm up there, but it's so cold there that I just don't want to do anything.
Yeah, it actually it rained a lot today. It's about 55, but it's supposed to be 20 tomorrow. So I'm ready to head out, actually.
Actually, a good Sean story for you was after I stopped by your house that one time with my buddy Jake, he was making breakfast for everybody at your house.
He was.
And we were out there playing golf, and we left, and Jake was like, that was a pretty funny dude. And I was like, yeah, I was like, he was. And then I think it was like a month later, he was doing stuff with Pat McAfee, and Jake texted me. He was like, was that the dude that was making breakfast in Devin's kitchen? I go, yeah, I think it was.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome here. Obviously, he's doing great. Glad to hear that you're doing well, bud. Miss you.
Yeah.
Need to get together soon.
Thanks for having me on. And like I said, man, I'm pulling for you. I hope everything goes well. And let me know if you need anything, as always.
Appreciate it. Tell the family I said hi. Tell the wife that she has any friends. I'm living in South Florida. We've always wanted to be family.
Exactly. I'll let her know. I'll put that little birdie out there.
All right. Appreciate it, bud. We'll talk soon.
Later, man.
Welcome back. The interview is brought to you by Blue Steel Buffalo, since usually companies pay podcasts to advertise with them. But with our podcast, we spend so much money at a place that we have to make up for it in other fashions, because Brandon couldn't pay for it all up front because he bought an entire buffalo. We're also brought to you by the Culvers on the west side of Bloomington. If you're in Bloomington, Indiana, stop by, get some cheese curds. They may have a buffalo burger or bison burger. I don't know. I haven't gone there enough. I'm fat as it is. I don't need to eat it, but it's delicious. Go there, get your cheese curds, get your custard. And anybody else we want to be brought to you by that is probably upset that we're using their name? Apple. Fuck it. Jeff Bezos, thank you for sponsoring thank you for sponsoring our podcast. We appreciate it, and good luck with your blackmail scenario. Saturday picks. Brandon, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to get off the wagon this week, and I'm going Virginia -2 at home versus Duke, strictly because I think Kyle Guy is going to go for like 40, and that's my only reasoning. I didn't have much else. They played well
at Duke or at Virginia.
At Virginia.
Okay.
They played
hard
well
to bet against that monster.
Right. But it was at Duke, and Duke was like -4 when it was at home. So I feel decent about Virginia winning at home. Like it was a good game.
I'm going to go ahead and say don't bet against Duke. Rule number 1 of the Whiskey Pines National Betting Guide: don't bet against Duke.
Okay.
We'll see how it plans out.
Well, if you did that theory this year, you'd be 20-2 betting. So I think it'd probably be worth it.
I'm going with Ball State -13.
The Fighting David Lettermans
against Western Michigan. Western Michigan's garbage. Ball State easily covers.
Easy.
Keep the money train rolling here.
Full game.
4-0. Full game.
All right. You got it marked down. Ball State -13. Western Michigan. Ball State at home. Also, if you ever get a chance to go to Muncie, Indiana, don't. It's one of the worst places to go to. And I remember when we were in college, we went up there one time, and I'm pretty sure it's a dry campus in Dry County. So you had to leave the county to get beer and then come back. So don't ever go to Ball State. It's
at Ball State. So
okay. Well, nobody that's listening to this, don't go to that game. Just know that Brandon's going to win and cover. But yeah, small Whiskey Pines update. So I'm heading to Austin, Texas next month for South by Southwest. Really excited about it. It's going to be a blast. Learn a lot from creative people, but also the company that is going to be producing and manufacturing our polos and pullovers is based in Austin, Texas. So I'm going to get down there. We're going to do some designing, do some specs. I've already ordered the fabric, so we're moving forward with that. And we should have some polos and pullovers made hopefully by August. So going into this fall, we're going to have a fall line. By that, we're going to have 3 things. We're going to have a T-shirt. We're going to have a polo. We're going to have a pullover. And then also
somewhere.
That's right. Started from the bottom. Now we're just part of the way up.
We're here.
Also working on some new hats. So those are going to be cool. We have, I'm going to get those designs back early part of next week. So we'll start posting some of those on Instagram. Feel free to give a vote to which ones you like. I think I have 6 different designs being made right now, and I think we'll pick 3 to go into manufacturing. So excited about that. Looking for the ones that you think are cool, the ones that you want to wear. We'll have full pricing breakdown once everything gets produced, but hopefully you go out and buy some gear, some hats, some T-shirts. T-shirts can always be made, but we're going to be making some more of those, some new designs, get some polos so you can wear to work, some pullovers for you up in the north that are still cold and can wear to work as well, can wear it to the bars. Everything I've worn so far that's Whiskey Pines, I've got head on. I'd wear it if I were you. It's going to help your life. Disclaimer, I really haven't, so just don't listen to this part. But it's definitely going to help you. We'll cut that. No, we're excited. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm also headed up to Rochester, New York at the end of the month to go spend the weekend with Brian, pick his brain a little bit more, talk about the business, and see what we can do from a Whiskey Pine standpoint to create new content, whether it's going to be written, whether it's going to be digital series. Going to take the drone up there too and see what we can do. So a lot of good things coming over the next couple of weeks. Excited for everybody to be a part of it. The apparel is coming along, so don't worry, I'm working on that. And that's a quick Whiskey Pines update for everybody as we continue to try and build this company, build this brand. Love for everybody a part of it. If you want items, please let me know, but they will be on sale over the next couple months on the website, or just shoot me a text and we'll figure out how to get them to you. Now for the segment that everybody is waiting for, and arguably the one thing that people talk to me the most about is Brandon and his conspiracies. I talked to Devin quickly about it during the interview about Brandon and his conspiracies, but haven't heard fully what your stake is today, but I have heard what the topic is. So, Brandon, if you want to dive into it, I'll be here to poke holes in whatever theory it is that you're believing in this week, but excited for the people to hear where your mind has drifted off to.
Oh, yeah. It's a theme here of getting spied on by the government, and a somewhat popular theory as of late with drones being a new form of communication and transportation and spying, that the government has manufactured bird drones, which are being used to spy on high-value targets within our own country. So they're not spying on you and I. Nobody cares about what we have to say.
That's not true.
Except for our hundreds of listeners.
All 7 people that are listening to us. I'm just kidding. We know.
But I'm convinced that there are bird drones in the mix of the regular birds capturing high-value audio from high-value targets.
Okay. So I've heard this one before, and it really came to fruition when the government shut down and everybody was like, there's less birds out there.
Birds have gone away.
So the birds have gone away.
Back.
And now they're back.
I mean, think about it. All right.
I'm going to attribute to the fact that it was cold, but
say you have a target and you can't tap their phone.
Okay.
But you know where they are. How else are you going to get the audio? No one's going to know. Who's going to think twice about a little bird flying around? A bird. Harmless little bird. That bird is capturing everything you say. Watching everything you do.
So, so many questions. Do you think they only produce like one type of bird, or do you think that they're out there like, is it just like shitty pigeons? Like pigeons are definitely their drones. Or do you think that they're like, yeah, let's get a little bit of everything. We got a mixed bag of birds that we've made into drones.
Yeah, definitely a mixed bag. You got like pigeons in New York. And you got like pelicans in Florida.
That's not going to be very funny because I'm playing golf tomorrow and I guarantee you I see at least like 3 or 4 sand cranes and pelicans, and all I'm going to be thinking is like,
there's going to be a bunch of pelicans on you after hearing this podcast. They're on to us.
They're not going to be on to me. You're the one that believes it. I'm just over here just laughing at the Michael Bublé commercial.
You're guilty by association.
All right. I can follow that one a little bit just because during the government shutdown, there were less birds out there.
The only thing that would throw me off, I feel like at some point one of these things are going to malfunction and people are going to pick up a dead bird and be like, it's not a bird, this is a drone.
But don't you think they would have known when the drone malfunctioned and just sent the team there?
Very well could have.
Because they wouldn't be able to get that out.
That's the only loophole.
They can quiet all of us. If they want to silence us, they'll do it.
It's very true.
I think, you know what? I'm changing my stance on this. No matter what your theory is, I'm going full bore on it. I want to get you so convinced that these things are real that every time I talk to you, you're further deep into something else, and it's just going to make me laugh.
I need to go capture one of these things.
I think you should. Do you remember that slingshot you said melted in your parents' car? You could have absolutely used that to shoot down one of these birds outside your window.
Got to keep the windows closed at all times.
Smart. Well, it's also 12 degrees there, so that probably helps.
High of 8 today. It was a little bit of a hit you right in the face getting off the plane in Milwaukee today.
Wow.
But I mean, is that not a plausible?
It is. I mean, anything's plausible. That's it. That's the best part about the conspiracy theories is that none of them are so. I mean, most of them are way outlandish, but your argument has made them seem at least plausible. Not that I believe them, but they are plausible. Like it's
the reason I believe this is I actually talked with or heard from a law enforcement agent in the St. Louis area where they have no. There's a certain amount of people in the St. Louis area that are under 24/7 surveillance.
Yes.
How are you going to, I mean, you got to get creative at some point on how you're going to
hiding in plain sight.
But you can't pick up on all the conversations. You get someone you really want to know. I listened to a podcast that had a former CIA operative on it, and he said in all new technology, you can pretty much transfer everything to a receiver and pick up on audio and video from no matter what the product is now. So if they, like this guy said, if they knew a new TV was going into a certain person's house, they could bug it and turn it into a receiver.
What podcast are you listening to?
I'm not giving up my sources.
Oh, I can't wait to go down this road. This is going to be a blast. Easily going to be the highlight of every part of my week is listening to whatever new concoction you've come up with.
The people are agreeing with me.
They are.
The popularity of this segment is increasing.
They
so
are.
All of you that believe the birds are listening to us, let me know.
Yes. Yep. Follow
we'll
Brandon.
Dig into this a little deeper.
Follow us at Whiskey Pines and Instagram, Whiskey Pines National, Facebook at Whiskey Pines, I think is our Twitter account. I need to get on that more. I said that the first episode. I still haven't actually continued to log in on it. So I'm not exactly sure what it is.
There's probably DMs and tweets all about the conspiracies.
There's not. I checked it the other day because I thought I had.
Let's
update.
Prove everyone wrong, Drew.
Okay, I'll post something tonight.
I'm talking to the people. We gotta prove you wrong. Okay. Get at me with the conspiracies.
Yeah, and then also Brandon, what's your Twitter handle and Instagram handle?
That's a good question. We'll link it.
Mine's super easy. Mine's just at DSpooler. Instagram at DSpooler. Twitter. Didn't really fray from what's happening here. Don't really need to be secretive. It is what it is. Feel free to shoot me a follow. Excited to be able to have Brandon back on more often, get Devin on. So hopefully next time Brandon can talk to Devin and we can rehash that birthday story where you're riding the mechanical bull outside of a gas station in Southern Indiana. And follow us, subscribe, unsubscribe, download, subscribe again, make us feel good. Give us updates on how you think this is going, things that you want to hear more of. Everything we keep hearing is about Brandon and his conspiracies. If you have guests that you know of that you think we should have on, that you'd love for us to pick their brain, for them to kind of get into the conspiracy theory web with us, feel free to shoot them our way. But this is Whiskey Pines National. Appreciate you listening. And if you need us at all, feel free to reach out, leave a review. Looking forward to talking to you soon.
Be careful out there. The birds are listening.
Bye, everybody.
As she's moving in, I can't wait to put her lips on my lips again. That song that was playing, don't even know what it was, baby.